this and so forth. You get it? Because without the king, you could even see rich people coming up and, putting money into the cause of the restoration of their king and stuff like that. Because that's what it is, It is what it is. So it is what it is, So said a few things, and those of you who would like to be an alternative explanation. I think my network has a problem, but it's gonna be okay. Let me know if. Okay, my network should be fine now. I think network here. I think network here. So guys, just let me know if the network is okay there, and then we can continue. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was saying that okay. I think now 2026 we already end now. This is what they call the entrance to 2020. Okay, guys, let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Is my network okay?
Ne Victor Osimhen Chawus.
Hey, can you hear me? Vado, can you hear me? Is my network okay?
Yeah, it is okay now. Last some time back it was not okay, but now it's okay.
Lovely. And so if it drops, just let me know, okay?
Yeah. Nah.
Okay. Okay.
How are you? How have you been?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I'm well. I'm happy to see my king speak.
Oh,
And
that's the message was right on point.
I think the message was spot on. It was expected. For anyone who
Yeah.
has been following the politics, you should have expected you should have predicted what he's going to say. But the biggest question now is, how are people going to react to that message? Because the reaction to me, so for me, this is my reading of the situation, okay? First and foremost, definitely, to me, in his speech, I could see there is intense internal wrangles within the kingdom itself.
True.
There's
That is very true.
there's intense fights within the kingdom. It might be within the Kabaka's family, or it might be within the institution that is Kabaka, especially the Bataka and all these guys. You know, they might be putting up a fight against the king. Of course, they want to be recognized and all this kind of stuff. Number one. That is the Buganda politics now. There is politics. To me, his message echoed Buganda politics. Number one. Number two, it then echoed national politics.
Ensonga azikonyeko, but in a little
Yes.
bit nga teri bloody nnyo. He was
I don't think he had to be. I don't think the
Yeah.
Kabaka had to be bold. What I believe is that he said what he had to say, and I think that, not thinking, but I believe that the message has reached where it is supposed to get. So for me, he emphasized that he emphasized and protected his Katikiro, Charles Peter Mayiga. So that means that whoever goes after the Katikiro is going straight for the Kabaka. And
I think they are
And-
somewhat. Okay, got it. Proceed.
so whoever goes straight for the Katikiro is going for the Kabaka. I think that's what the Kabaka was saying. And he I don't know how I should say this. But when you look at the events that happened, even today, I think today is Charles Peter Mayiga's best day in his life. The idea that your boss comes out, to fight for you. I don't like to compare it to Museveni fighting for Anita Among, but it's something similar to that. Because of course Mayiga has not, the Katikiro has not been, the Prime Minister has not been accused of any corruption or anything, because even people that are putting up accusations against the Katikiro, they are not legitimate. It's not that they are saying, oh, the Katikiro stole this or the Katikiro stole that. Because for you to say that the Katikiro stole this or he did this and that, and so he should be fired, it means that the Kabaka is, he's not in the know of the activities of the Katikiro, which I do not believe. Now, there's this idea that the Katikiro works for the state as well, where people say that the Katikiro works for Museveni. I think it is because people just do not understand how the institution of the kingdom works. Because the way it works is that, like the Katikiro says today, I'll play his message, because he told us that Buganda is not for the opposition, nor is it for the government. It's not for Muslims, nor is it for Christians or the Anglicans. It's not for the rich nor the poor. It's for everyone, even those who are not Baganda, but they live within the kingdom. So that message was clear, and I don't know why people cannot understand this. And the problem that some of the people, especially some people within the opposition, think that the kingdom should openly come out and support them. And I believe that the king, as well as the Katikiro, have put out messages on several occasions that show that they are not necessarily like 100% are with the oppressed Ugandans, but for example, if people are arrested, if people are beaten and all this kind of stuff, the king has always made statements, and the Katikiro has always made statements on these issues. It's just that majority of the Ugandans choose not to listen. Like some of the people, of course, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have criticisms. They can have their critiques, but at least try to make sure that your critiques are legitimate and are reasonable in a sense. For me, I've told people that, in my view, my opinion, in my shallow mind on the issue of demanding for the king to be returned to Uganda, that was wrong, regardless who said it. It is not part of our norms and customs to demand for the Kabaka. It has never been anywhere. The idea of demanding him to be seen. Now, people will come up with the example of 1966 and 1954 that the people stood up and protested for the Kabaka to be returned, that the Kabaka to be returned and all this kind of stuff. Yes. In 1954, the crisis we had, where the king was exiled in London by the then Governor Cohen, just because the Secretary of Colonies, Oliver Lytton, had said that Buganda is going to be made part of a bigger East African Federation, the so-called East African community that you have today. So the king then said was like, no, we shan't accept this. It's not acceptable. So then the governor decided to exile him to London. So the point here is exile. The king was arrested, put on a plane, and sent to London in exile, official exile. So the people rose up and demanded for his return. Here, the king was not in exile. He wasn't sent in exile. He should have mentioned that he is in exile. He didn't. Even the Katikiro came out himself and said, the Kabaka is not in captivity. Kabaka Simuwambe. That's what he said. And the Katikiro is chosen by the king. So, all in all, I don't want to go into that sort of angle, because it would sound more like deja vu, because a lot of people have covered it, they have spoken about it, and all this kind of stuff. But going on from here, this is what I want to tell people. Politics is now changing. Things are moving very fast. And to me, when I saw Right Honorable Mathias Mpuuga, and I saw the Katikiro, and of course I saw Right Honorable Joyo Senyonyi, I just realized that, okay, now 2026 is up in gear, and the fight for Buganda is now open. It's officially open, because if I was in Noop, right, I would have done, okay, for example, let me start with Mpuuga. Where does this leave Mpuuga? Where does this leave NUP? Where does this leave the NRM and all these other players in Ugandan politics? Because yes, Buganda is people are always going to come out to fight for Buganda, to fight for the Ugandan support, to fight for the Ugandan vote. Obote fought for it, Amin fought for it, Lule fought for it. I think it is with the exception of Bina Isa. Bina Isa never fought for it. But even Obote too also wanted it. Yeah? And then Tito Okello, even as well, Tito Okello Lutwa, fought for it. Then, of course, coming to Museveni also wanted it. The only people I know that never fought for the Buganda issue was Paulo Muwanga, who was only in power for like a few months in order to conduct the 1980 elections, as well as Godfrey Bina Isa. Of course, Bina Isa even complained that the Baganda never loved him. There is a reason as to why the Baganda protested when Lule was overthrown, but never protested when Bina Isa was overthrown. So, let me first bring in you guys to speak, and then I'll continue with with my submission. Vado and Christ, what was your take on the Kabaka's message today? Let us have an interactive discussion. I don't want to be the speaker of the day. I have my opinions, I have my views, I have my ways forward, but I also want to listen to other people. What does this mean for the opposition? What does this mean for the NRM? What does this mean for Mengo as an institution? And where does this leave the Right Honorable Mathias Chimpuga? Okay, open your mics, guys.
Good evening to everyone. For me, my best message from
you
the
can
king
you can interchange with Luganda, no problem.
nze okusiima kwange kusinze kubeera mu Kabaka kwebaza the people in the diaspora, because all along the narrative has been abaana bakoze eki baweebuula Namulondo, owulidde, but the king was broad enough n'ayeebaza abaana bali mu diaspora n'abavubuka. Ekyo kimu. Ekyokubiri, Kabaka assertinze himself n'abagamba I'm the king, nze nsobola okujjawo ennono ezimu okusinziira ku mbeera bw'ekola ki bw'etambula. N'akakasa kiri kye nali nkugambako luli mu kusooka, ne nkugamba nti Mayiga yagenda ne yeekwata ebintu bino n'ajjamu bakasujjulu binga, era Kabaka yennyini agambye nti abaami abalina okukola emikolo mu butuufu babimanyi era bamanyi ekyokukola. That was a strong message.
Let me just correct you. He never said Yabami. Yagam Yabataka.
Yeah, that is true. Abataka. That message was strongly going to who? To Charles Peter Mayiga. Kubanga abalala yabalemesa okukola emirimu nga bwe balina okugikola. N'akakasa n'agamba nti wanyi
Nina konfune laptop yangu wana kubanja gala oyogere byoyogera nga nkuba na
n'akakasa n'agamba nti Katikiro ye yamwerondera, tewali balala bakola ki, which is true. Teri agambye nti twagala okulonda Katikiro, era all along ensi ebadde ng'egamba lwaki Kabaka tagobaani, twagoba Charles Peter Mayiga, kubanga buli omu akimanyi nti Katikiro yakola ki. Naye wabula abadde n'obweraliikirivu okusinzira ndowooza bana abataka kye baakola okugenda e Namibia. Kabaka alabika teyakisanyukira okusinziira nga bw'abadde ayogera. Nze bwe mbitunulamu indatiwe, kubanga ate n'oyo omukyalo oyo basabe ettaka. Nkiwa Kabaka eyo message naye ebaddemu egenda wuwe ng'agezaako okumugamba nti bye bakola abimanyi bulungi nnyo, era n'agamba nti Kabaka akolebwako emikolo okubeera Kabaka, si byakuva eri, si byakwesooka buki. N'akikatiriza n'agamba Kabaka tasigira. So whoever calls himself nti Kabaka yamugambye, simanya yamutumye, Kabaka in his message he has said it nti tasigira. Ekyo kiri kye twalinga tugamba nti lwaki emipiira gy'amasaza gigenda mu maaso nga ffe tumanyi nti Kabaka waffe yaggulawo biki byonna, lwaki bigenda mu maaso nga Kabaka taliiwo? Ezo zonna questions ansalingiddwa olwaleero. Ate ne mu bubaka bwe nga yeebaza, teyeebazizzaako abakulu abakola emmengo, kubanga babadde nga bagamba abantu ababanja Kabaka waabwe nti bakola kiki, bakola kikyamu. Teyeebazizza Baganda Nkobazambogo, teyeebazizzwa the so-called ab'ebitiibwa, teyeebazizza baami abo ki, abo abataka. Abantu be yeebazizza bawulikise bulungi nnyo, era omuntu alabye obubaka bwa Ssaabasajja akirabye bulungi nnyo nti ne Mutebi naye gy'abadde ensonga abadde aziraba bulungi nga bwe tuzikola ki, nga bwe tuziraba. Naye alina ekigambo kyayogedde, simanyi oba abantu message ya Kabaka bagitegedde bulungi nnyo. Ekyo kyagambye nti eryokanga n'etonnya ne tulaba ensiisira bwe zenkanya emyoyo. That was a strong message. So, Abaganda, those that can interpret that message very well, ebadde ina meaning nga kikulu nnyo abantu baleke bitwala for granted. Amazima ga Katonda mu ggulu kuba nze siwulirangako Kabaka ng'akozesa engero bwezityo mu speech ye ebiseera ebisinga. Oluusi akola statement singa maybe za kuwoninga buwonizi kukubiriza abantu kukola nnyo naye ekintu ng'ekyo nti eryokanga n'etonnya ne tulaba ensiisira bwe zenkanya emyoyo. That was a strong message. Era ndi mu kwebuuza wano Kabaka yo message abadde ategeeza ki?
Christ.
Yes, I'm questioning myself.
Okay, no problem. Christ, are you there? I have the message here, so I'll play the message. I have the message here with me, so I'll be playing it back and forth. Christ, if you're there, unmute your mic. If you're not there, then we can continue with the conversation with Vado.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, we get you now.
Yeah. To me today, the speech for the Kabaka really showed me a lot. It was a speech that was straight, balanced, and it touched everyone. Actually, not only in Uganda, but the whole country. The whole country that message was going to everyone in Uganda. I appreciate that the fact that he supported the youth and what they are doing, especially those people in the diaspora, what they have done. That was really a big tick. You know, mostly the government and other people, they used to say that people in diaspora, they do nothing. But I appreciate for the recognition of that. That shows us that he knows what is taking place in the country. He knows what has been taking place in the kingdom. He's aware of everything. You never know. He's going somewhere. It was a setup of seeing what is going back in his country. You never know. Then that statement, the one he said also, that one it showed a lot.
That is a strong message.
It is a very strong message. That is a strong message of the door open of politicians. Kati wakatandika kati ebyobufuzi kati bitandise mu Uganda byakatandika kati wakatandika butandise. It has shown that there is it shows that maybe the king is happy upon the rise of young Ugandans, of rising up. Once it has been, I think it has never happened, seeing Ugandans, youth being concerned about their country and about their kingdom as the way they did they've been doing.
Let me put context in the conversation, okay? So, of course, the message comes on the backdrop of what has happened in the past few months about his health. Okay? The idea that people were demanding for the Kabaka to be returned to Uganda and all this kind of stuff. In my view. The second one, it was to deal with people, it was to deal with the Bataka. Because the Bataka, without permission from Mengo, they went to General Museveni and asked for, whatever help they could get through Joyce Nabosa Sebugwao to go and see the king in Namibia. Definitely, which caused the diplomatic row between the Namibian government as well as the Ugandan government, and as well as, that led definitely Buganda to apologize to Namibia, because of the protests, because of the Bataka's behaviors and all this kind of stuff. So it comes from that backdrop. Secondly, the Katikiro for almost now 3 or 4 years has been mocked, has been abused. So much has been said about the Katikiro by different people. And we hear the Kabaka asserting that the Katikiro is his, he elects him, Yamulonda. So if someone says that it is me who chooses the Katikiro, and if I'm not happy with the Katikiro, I will remove him and replace him, just like I did with Danny Mulika, Semo Gerere, Walusimi, and all these other fellas. So to me, when he mentioned the Katikiro, but I believe this was Charles Mayiga's best day in his life. The fact that your boss comes out to defend you in public, that is a strong statement amidst all the intimidation, amidst all the words that people have been using. I think that was a strong message from the king to show support towards his prime minister. Then the other thing, of course, that confused me a wee bit, and I think you guys could come in and say whatever you think you understand about it, is the idea of thanking people in the diaspora. I think in his speech, why he said people in the diaspora, because most of the people that were, doing all this sort of behavior and stuff like that, definitely it was us in the diaspora. But I think he never wanted to generally castigate us. In his wisdom, I believe he knows that the people that were misbehaving or that were using strong language against his family and so many other filth language, he understands that these people are being fed wrong information. They are being used by people from Uganda to achieve their own language against his family and so many other filth language. He understands that these people are being fed wrong information. They are
to me, it is worth its salt. The king addressed all groups. Only that I think every point or every paragraph was allocated to a certain group of people. It only needed someone to think, listen, and understand what he meant. Number one, when I continue to speak where the previous speaker just said, Okuvola, the members of the Kabaka's family, it was not good. But again, the Prime Minister also spoke to the public, Mukuvola wenga na yaba vola. So you could see much as there is this bit that the Kabaka protected the Katikiro, but again, in it inside, also the Katikiro was addressed. Both parties, bevola.
But did you hear the Katikiro using any filthy words?
No. Let's be
Yes.
realistic.
Yes.
Katikiro has not been
Like
honest.
which words?
Let me tell you.
Emmanuel
Let's be
Kakao.
honest.
Vado, can you keep quiet, please? Let's be civil. It is Love and Whom that is speaking. Yeah, Love and Whom, go on.
Let's be civil and be honest to ourselves. Katikiro, in his position, with all his titles, he did not address the subjects diplomatically, regardless the pressure. You know why Kabaka is saying, writing or telling us this speech? Because he was raised a king. He was raised a leader. He's an experienced leader. Whoever wrote that speech had to include all of us. And we are addressed respectively with a bit of respect, regardless our shortfalls. Twavola, twavuma, twagenda okutuuka okubeetonza, naye tatuzeemu kutuvola. So in this bit, you can see, yes, we had our shortfall as the subject, but also his prime minister had a bit of it. That's why in this very speech, Bebogera Kukuvola, Katikiro is inclusive, though protected. Number two, or unless we are not going to think wise, those who went ahead and say, no, like Kabaka said, he has absolute power to change things according to the times. May I agree with that? I agree with that because it has always been my point. The kingdom is left so behind. The kingdom does not even think of updating, because when you see how this whole saga started, it was poor communication. When people pointed out, the Prime Minister, Katikiro, took it on the wrong side. So when he said we can change things, and no, or Kabaka, why no we choose and no according to the times, I think that is okay. It is right because he pointed out the attacker who went without his permission and the kingdom permission, never genda jebagenda. That was a point to note. Probably this one disobeyed the master. They wanted to shine beyond him. So if you go back to the list of those who went to President Museveni and whoever who took them out, and you note them down. He was showing, like giving directives and directions on what to do and what not to do. However, with the subjects, we ought to change. Where we went wrong, we ought to change, but them, the leaders and the administration, they ought to change according to the times. That's how I understood it, like to be fair, like to be neutral. But all groups, yes?
I just have one question. Through this whole saga, Katikiro endeavored so much to protect the condition of the Kabaka by saying what he said. Don't you think?
Yes, he did, but in so doing,
but people didn't want to understand, and they thought other things. They kept on, throwing propaganda around. I mean, imagine
confidentiality. I think he tried to be confidential as much as he could.
Yes, imagine you're the Katikiro, and you're being directed by the king. Not even. It's not even a directive. I mean, it's your boss. You can't just come out and divulge things.
Can I answer you back? A leader, a substantial leader, you ought to ignore. Katikiro needed to come out and address us the same way he did and ignore the propaganda, because before this saga, he had gone through a lot. You see, I'm sorry to equate Bobby Wine and this whole saga. Bobby Wine has been dragged and dragged and dragged. He just keeps quiet. Katikiro needed to show to be on the higher level than whoever was shouting, whatever they were shouting, and does what his boss told him. But he showed us that he's equally to fight with the penges of these worlds, to fight with whoever said whatever they said. He brought himself down to their levels. And that's how they started dragging him. He needed to be a little bit on a higher caliber and ignore the nonsense so that he keeps on the level where the kingdom is expected of him to be. He brought himself down and brought upon this on himself.
Okay. Before I go to Farida, of course, and African interests. But for me, I think, because when you listen to the Kabaka's message, it sounds more that there are people within the kingdom. This might be people within the royal family. There might be people within, like the clergies or those lords or the landlords, the batakas and all these guys that are fueling a certain narrative through all these, some of us who went and protested, who went and demanded for the Kabaka and all this kind of stuff. And I think the Kabaka and the Katikiro understand who the real enemy is. The real enemy, in my view, according to his message, might be an enemy from within that is trying to use people outside to pass the message on. So when the Katikiro, I think, because me too, I was critical about the Katikiro replying these people and saying whatever he was saying. But the Katikiro, in my view, I think he was addressing the real threat that is within. Because when the Kabaka says that it shows that these are people within the houses, that now the roof is leaking. The roofs are leaking and stuff like this. It is people from within that are actually fighting the kingdom. And then all of us who are demanding a Janjagwe and all this kind of, whatever stuff, and all this, Kabaka this, Kabaka that, whatever we did, we were just following an internal struggle that we could not understand, that we were being used, in my view and in my opinion. But Farida Costa, the King's message, I'll come back to you, Vado, Vincent, and Robin Home, but let's first listen to these two guests and then we open up the conversation once again. Farida Costa, go on ahead and then we have African interest. The King, let us look at the King's message today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fazil, for this opportunity, and the comrades on the panel, and also the listeners out there. Thank you so much for this, and we want to thank God who has given our King life really to reach this historical day, because today is his 31st coronation since the kingship was brought back, I think, in 1993. Yeah, I think my history is right there. Yeah, the king's message was very right, of course, because we have been talking about these issues of opportunists. Tuze twogera ku bannakigwanyizi bano abeenoonyeza ebyabwe and all that, and I'm very happy that the king's message today, it was very, very upright, it was very nice, very educative, and bw'obanga olina ku magezi really ng'owuliriza a speech ya Ssaabasajja Kabaka, I think you could get a second thought, because sometimes I even regret some years back I would even spare some minutes to listen to some hooligans, some fake bloggers are giving information, and if I recall the Farid of the other time, I think I would be the first person right now watching someone who's live coming to this as such a as such a celebration, because I could put doubt in myself, and I'm like maybe, but now when I sat down and I realized very many things, nakyukira ddala ntandika okulaba ebintu mu ngeri endala, because putting the whole blame on Katikiro, Charles Peter Mayiga. It is like blaming the opposition. A case in point, I will give an example of Noop. It's like blaming Noop. Lwaki temujjaako Museveni, lwaki temukola ki, muluddewo kukola kino, lwaki banange temukola ki. But before blaming Noop, olabye embeera mwekolera. Are we under real democracy? Olyoka oginenye nti olumu tuteekayo bino ne babigaana, ne tuteekayo kino ne bakigaana, ne muteekayo kino radio ne bazijjako ne bakola ki. Kati if you blame the mightiness of my Katikiro, mu mbeera Buganda gyerimu. And I think last year, those of you watched a clip of Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni had to say that you tell those Bengal guys, we cannot have two governments in one country. The guy said that. That means that he was declaring a war, a complete war, however much yali alwanira munda. But he was declaring a war on the kingdom. Oshegera. And the Katikiro, the mightiness of my Katikiro, abalitasobola kutula butuuzi, to fold hands, like to lament, because tebana bakutuwa byaffe, tebana bakutuwa federal, banange tebana bakutuwa kino, to folding zimikono. No. Ye asalawo nga ye Katikiro. Kubanga buli omu alina their mode of operanda. Buli omu alina engeri gy'akolamu ekintu. Kye yagamba okay. Bwe kiba nti nno kikalubyemu. By the way, nalabako the former Katikiro w'ekitiibwa. Bana yali alina echo. Simanyi oba nina oba Fazil.
Okay, go on.
Mulimu echo. Okay. Nawulirako the former Katikiro ow'ekitiibwa Mulwanya Mulise Mwegerere. Yali ku ebiseera nga Frank Walusimbi akyalina program ya tuwaye. And the guy was like twine meetings is a federal for over 7 consecutive years. Nga basaba federal. Banange federal neegaana. Basegona Buganda ezimbye omugigi gw'abasegona abaani abazze balwana time reached nabo ne bagamba bannange maybe tusooke ekintu tukikole ki tukiwummuzeemu. Kugamba the tension has been there, but literally dictator aganye okutuwa ebyaffe. So what should the kingdom do? Should the kingdom fold its hands? And when the mightiness of the Katikiro owekitiibwa Charles Peter Mayiga came in, agamba okay tukole naye nga bwe tubanja era ye enkola ye anti ye era ne hashtag ze boziraba ku gundi ye federal eyebikolwa oshegeera bwetunulira ebintu byakwasaganya prior to this a beautiful celebration wabaddewo okuggulawo library y'ebitabo bya Buganda, amasomero ga Buganda badda by the aba following page amasomero ga Buganda juzi yali akulubiri secondary ne bagulawo a very big laboratory yali nene nnyo eya sciences. University ya Buganda bagiwadde charter. Buganda Royal Institute celebrated 25 years. Botunulira omulanga gw'emmwanyi.
Oluganda really integrated internationally. It's the only
definitely
native language eya Uganda integrated into Google right now by the technologically speaking keyboard. You can use Luganda.
Definitely.
As a language.
You can use Luganda bine ebintu biri ku Google. Something very simple. Oshegera. Botunulira by the way omulanga gw'emmwanyi. Mama wange yabaddeko mu kyalo. Because we have a country home in the village. A side zendabwe. Naye yangambye Farida. Okay. 1 second, then I finish.
You allowed me to speak? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I thought she said.
Is it a question or something?
Maybe I finish when you ask. Oh, okay.
It's a question.
No, let her finish first. Love and home, let her finish first.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so omulanga gw'emmwanyi. Trust me, Mama yangambye Farida ekiri mu kyalo. I wish I could play the audio right now. Naye bwe naba nzikiriziddwa nja giplaying. Nangamba nti banange ekiri mu kyalo. Abantu bagenda okukungula emmwanyi emulisizza ezaffe zikyali nti naye yange nti abali mu kumakungula essaawa eno abantu bali mu kuyuula abawulira omulanga gw'emmwanyi terimba and very very many things. So they are trying to koma mu mbeera eno enzibu eriwo nti okay tubanjiza ebyaffe biganye but okay katukole nga bwe tubanje ate tugenda kubeera nga tulamentinga lwaki banaye lwaki temukola kino munanga nti baatuma ebyaffe munanga nti baatuma ebyaffe bade nabidde n'amalwaliro. Very soon they are revealing over 5 hospitals within the kingdom of Uganda. Nga emu ku zo in fact waliwo n'eddwaliro lye baatuzimbidde fa babeera ensangi omanyizi mbeera ensangi maya after ensangi then you go to maya. So waliwo eddwaliro lya Buganda lye bazimbye waliwo lye bazimbye e Masaka Mukungwe and other areas amalwaliro galinnya nga 5 oshigera. So all that development and a lumpen comes from nowhere. He or she is not ready to offer leadership. Naye baliwo kuvunza abantu bagezaako ku delivering a service.
No.
Sister Farida.
Yes.
Sister Farida, let's not lose that.
Yes,
Don't use that. Don't use that longer.
Okay.
Yeah, just maybe say something.
Okay,
Something more
I
polite.
withdraw those statements. I'm very sorry.
Since it's Kabaka's life, so we need to observe.
Definitely sorry bailinga maliriza. I withdraw those statements. Very sorry. So kale nosanga omuntu tali ready ku komawo Uganda ku offering leadership, tali ready ku engaging themselves in leadership, tebali ready kwongerako, tebali ready kuba nti nno baleeta ebirowoozi byenjawulo naye nga baliwo kunafuya kuvunza ku watering down efforts. Banaye kambabuulire what pains people so much is watering someone's effort. Gwe tokolangako kintu omuntu nakiiwamu amazzi naye ng'omuntu akiiwamu amazzi just look at them and you like what is this. So message ya Ssaabasajja Kabaka ebadde very very clear. Bannakigwanyizi tuzze tukyogerako those opportunists, we have been addressing them. Era mujjukira video yasooka ne bajja mu kamera lwaki teyayambadde empeta, lwaki teyayambadde galubindi, yabadde AI. The king came video nezifuluma ng'ali ku kisaawe ate kati empeta nayo teyajjambadde ate kati lwaki twagala kumanya mpeta kugamba you just imagine bana abantu baagala ki at first mugambye ne plural zaakozesa at first mugambye mbu
nerero yagambye twabadde mu kujjanjabwa plural
oshigera naye era olaba nti they are looking for some things basabotaging. But let me tell you, Buganda lwazi, Buganda emyaka gyebaddewo bannange n'entalo zeeyiseemu olaba yayita mu muyaga gw'abafuzi b'amatwale and up to now the kingdom is still standing. Trust me, mwenna bannakigwanyizi be bakozesa you are wasting time. Just mujje twegatte tulabe nti no tugumiza Obuganda. Otherwise Ssaabasajja Kabaka awangaale. I was very happy for this message, very very happy, and tomorrow I have to duet the king's message. Sister yabadde n'ekibuuzo.
You had something to say before I
I had a
go
question. One thing I wanted to note, the problem we have, tulina the propaganda, and then you quickly forget there are those people who critique for the best. Their intention is not to drag the kingdom down or to completely destroy them, but to see them improving and to do better things. The legacy of Katikiro is not deniable. It is good. But omwogezi avuddeko agambye mbu Katikiro agamba tayagala tubeerawo nga tulamentinga tubanja ebitakoma. Yagamba tubanje nga bwe tukola. But in one of his speeches in Luweero, he was like, Bannaluweero mulekerawo okubanja ne mukaaba emyaka 40 mugende mukole, which was the right thing. Naye probably oba we are so much tormented, oba we have suffered a lot that olumu toniye tugisoma bubi. The greatest challenge we have right now is to distinguish between those who are abalabe bannakigwanyizi and those who are critiquing for the good. Because me, I am a student of Fazil for so many, probably years, but waba yogera sometimes in politics, he critiques NUP for the good. And those who cannot stand the fact that there are those people who critique for the better, they don't understand him. And this is where the problem is. When someone comes up Nagamba, no, Katikiro, you are the best. So find all the Katikiros we have seen. Now you get enough bubi. Temuchitwala nti fenoro tubababi. We want him to improve so that abamulabirako we bajja that position can do even much better. But now what is saturating? Buli ayogera ku kingdom abamubi. That is my submission.
Yeah, and I think that point is well should be well taken. I think that there are areas that the Katikiro can improve, especially with the way maybe he speaks to people. Maybe he gets.
I think we Africa.
Love and home.
Okay. Well, no, let's find the first answer, Vincent. Then we go to African interests.
Yes, I don't think that we have never refused people to criticize the Katikiro, but we have been emphasizing respect. You address someone with respect, and trust me, someone will listen. But if a cult leader comes out and is like Gamulengeja, yeba senani, simanya akoze bichi, simanya akoze bichi, and his followers, all have followers. There are some other propagandists. They will use that abusive language. You have seen how these people have deeply abused Prince Junju. No, listen, sister. Prince Junju has been deeply abused. The Queen of Uganda, the family of the Kabaka, they have been deeply abused because the cult leader is commanding his cult to do that. So positive criticism is good, but with respect. Sister, you put yourself in Katikiro's shoes. If someone is addressing you like they're abusing you, they are bashing you, I'm telling you, you can be pissed off. These are human beings, however much they are leaders. These are human beings. Sometimes they get pissed off. But if you address me with respect, trust me, I will listen. I will give you an ear and listen. You understand? But if you come with your insultive language, with your propaganda, with your malice, with blackmail, and you think that I will sugarcoat you or I will romance you, that one is never going to happen. In this generation, you have to be very, very hardened because that is what the generation wants. If you talk to them in a good way, again, they will abuse you. If you harden, someone is talking very badly, that one is out. The generation has changed. And may I just commend my Katikiro on the way he has been addressing these matters. And I've never seen him abusing anyone, but he has been addressing these opportunists. That's not abusive.
I agree.
You have to stop this hypocrisy.
We Africa, please, Fazil.
These are human beings. You will not come and blackmail the Katikiro. You will not come and call him Gamulengeja. You call him every abusive word. You abuse the family of the Kabaka, and you think that people are going to romance you. That one is never going to happen in this generation. And after the king's message, we are here to face you up. I'm telling you. Thank you.
Okay, let's listen from Vincent now. Then we go back to Love and Home. Then I want African interests to come in as well as lawyer Joel. Yeah,
Love. I wanted to just ask.
Let us be a bit calm, guys. It's not an argument; it's a discussion. Let us try to entertain each other's views and have a fruitful discussion. At the end of the discussion, I want us to agree on some things, not just that we discuss, then we leave, but we need to forge a way forward in this entire discussion. That's the purpose as to why I'm holding this conversation.
And that's why I'm going to ask this question to Love and Home. According to the last 2 or 3 months and the message the Kabaka has just given, who are the enemies of Uganda, or who are the opportunists according to his message? I want to understand how Love and Home understands this.
Do you want me to answer now? Or do you want to finish your submission, then I answer?
That's all. I just want to ask.
Okay, to me, the past 3 months, whatever has been happening, those who never put confidentiality and respect to the life of the king, they are the enemies. Those who are disobedient to his guidance and directives, to me, they are the enemies. So there is nothing to sugarcoat. We cannot credit them, and we will never credit them. it was very clear they did not follow the directives from the king, probably with the norms. To me, those are the enemies. Probably, never what transport yogenda. Because since he did not mention names, we are not going to start saying ABCD. We to get a name to a jaffe. He probably is saying ABCD.
Badde nsaba kwogerako Mr. Whitfricker for a minute because ndi ku mulimu bali kumpi kunsikambulayo.
Kale yogera kuna dakiika 2 kubanga waliwo ababadde balinze. I know you wanted to come in on Farida's issue. Siwa?
Yes, very quickly. Farida, JF Kennedy yagamba, when the people in power bagaana peaceful transition, a violent transition is inevitable. Unfortunately, you can get upset, you can quarrel. Unfortunately, there is a lot of confusion in the whole country. Every single Ugandan is frustrated. Look at the songs going out. Look at the young children. Laba abaana abawemula. Ekizibu kye tulina ng'Abannayuganda. We are very hypocritical ku bintu. When it suits you, it is okay. When it doesn't suit you, then it is very wrong. Kabaka abantu nze ndowooza this is where the whole process, the whole fracas is. Every single Ugandan is frustrated. That's why we come here and attack We Africa. That's why people attack me. That's why, Farida, I attack you. Everybody's frustrated, guys. Let's be fair. We have been in a bad regime for 40 years. Abaana ba Israel batandika okuvuma Moses nti watujja Misiri nga tutwale oke kati watuleeta eno ogenda tutta. Mubeere fair. As much as you want to get upset and frustrated about Ugandans are frustrated. And they're wondering, is it the Kabaka to help us? No. Where is the Katikiro to help us? Everybody is touching a panic button. That is why we fight with each other. Kubanga kintu kigoyinga on and on. That's why twavuma Besigye. Oyo naye tunamuvaako nga ne Bobi Wine oba n'amala naye era olaba abantu era bagenze bakuukako along the way nga bamuvuma. Why? Because people are frustrated because they don't know what to do. They're thinking, okay, fine, Katikiro, jangu nawe, twegatteko. And Katikiro is not willing. So that is why people are frustrated. It's not like the mightiness of the Katikiro. You can call him every single name, but every single Ugandan, there's not going to be peace in Uganda. Unfortunately. Not because that is the Uganda waganya kubera transition. People are thinking, where's the king when we need him most? Because Fenga subjective, they're looking at his father, Mutesa, when he was fighting with Obote, at least he decided to leave Uganda and went into
interjection.
That is misguided. Obote and Mutesa are different. It's a different thing.
No, I'm only giving a quick example. Abantu bane mumpulirize lwakuba Mayiga na temuwuliriza mupikinga kyoyagala naye njagala otunulira ekintu kimu kyokka Vincent njagala otunulira ekintu kimu kyokka Ugandans are frustrated. Ugandans are abusing their mothers, Ugandans are abusing their fathers, Ugandans are abusing everybody is frustrated. Kati kankubuuze, why is it that tugenda mpalanga maliza submission yange, why is it that wesekiriziganya na Vincent muyita munyambi? Because Vincent said the statement. Lwaki Fazil yalya all of a sudden yalyadde wamulabawa? Lwaki Patricia yalya? How? Omuntu gwotalabangako omuntu omulaba ataddewo omubiri awoggana. Lwaki Mighty family kati tudde bamukuba okubutta ali mu kkomera? Come on. Someone is frustrated, is in prison, and people are saying, no, oyo Museveni amwadde sente. Bobi Yanga bamuvumye. Who hasn't been vandalized when you struggle? The
point is that the Katikiro is not immune from backlash.
Unfortunately, you want to pretend, you want to lie about it.
One question before Patricia goes. 1 minute, Badia.
Okay, let's come back.
Pat, 1 minute, Fazil. One question for Patricia.
Waiting for long.
Okay, 1 second. Does she believe that all those attacking the kingdom are frustrated or some are paid? Because as if now you're hiding your frustration.
Farida, Abannayuganda saawa zino owulira kankubulireko
First, I
nze
have one
nakulira
word for you.
Masaka onedda lindako home and love ogenda kwogera kubanga nze ndi ku mulimu bagenda kunzira omukazi ajja saawa yonna. Farida sirimu yali yakajja Uganda abantu bagenda ew'omukazi gwe balina Nanyongo okunywa ettaka. Naye do you know that people sat ne balya ettaka? Farida, do you know how many people died? Abantu balya ettaka. Do you know that today ne wabaayo omusawo Muganda n'avaayo n'agamba ngenda kuloga Museveni afi, people will give him millions? Do you know that nze Patricia Sewungu waliwo yatukwata n'atugamba nti agenda naawe Fazil waliko yatugamba nti agenda kukuba Uganda ng'alina ne maapu? Right now in Uganda tewali wali immune ku frustrations z'abaana Uganda. Abantu bali outraged and it's obvious bannange. Oba twagala okwerimba oba tetwagala. Abaana badda kuno ku TikTok ne bavuma bazadde baabwe. Because waliwo moral decay. Ebaddewo for 40 years.
What you're saying, anyone in a dispute, even if it's a family dispute, everything ends on social media.
Unfortunately, because waliwo so much moral decay in our country, genda ku pages z'abana Kenya, genda ku pages z'abana Nigeria, they're not doing it.
So the issue is moral decay. So this is where I'm going to make a pivot.
Unfortunately.
This is where I'm going. No, this is okay. Yeah, Patricia, we've heard. This is where I'm going to make a pivot on this platform. That later on we need to find a way on how to fix moral decay in our society. You know, to have a generation of children that can be ashamed of themselves if they utter certain words on such platforms. For example, at least for the people who are up here, I've never seen anyone up here that is using filthy language, unless if you guys are actually using pseudonyms that I do not know of. Had you guys using sort of abusive? Why is that? How come that you guys can make your points without being abusive? And I think we need to find a solution to that. So African interests, you had the King's message. What is your takeaway point from the message as we broaden, before I bring it in there so that we can broaden now the entire conversation. But we need to also have the discussion leading towards a solution to what we see as problems in what the Kabaka was trying to address in one or the other.
Okay. Thank you, Fazil. I think from the Kabaka's message, one of the lessons that we can learn is one, there has been a huge misconception amongst the kingdom critics. And the misconception is thinking that the kingdom is a republic where we have a say as the people. We can influence the matters of a monarchy by making noise, by way of mockery of the people that the Kabaka has appointed. The monarchy is not a republic. It is a top-down leadership, not a bottom-up. We follow what the leadership says. We don't tell the leadership that Katikiro, today we want the Kabaka to change the Katikiro. Today we want the Kabaka to come out and say something on our behalf. Today we want the Katikiro. We haven't earned that. That's why we are subjects. Unless we want to redefine our roles within the monarchy, that's when we can say, okay, now we have reached a stage where we as the subjects can tell Mengo what to do, and Mengo will dance. And that can only happen if you're saying that we want to overhaul the Mwenda Mutebi leadership and then surround our own king to do what we want. Or we can just decide to say, oh, we are leaving Uganda and we start something else. That's how a monarchy works. When the Americans didn't like what the British did, they moved to a new land, they fought, they said we are no longer going to be subjects of the King of England. We are independent, this is who we are. England, stay there, we shall be here. We can stay friends, we will stay we will forever be good friends with you, but you will never tell us what to do. That's a different approach. But if we are thinking that we are going to be within the kingdom and create a situation where the subjects are controlling the narrative of the kingdom, that is not going to happen anywhere. I'm telling you, in the UK, there are more than maybe 100 tabloids that can write false things about the monarchy. But they can only write. It is going to be rare unless they have bought an insider to take on whatever the narrative that they want. But the chances are you will find the insiders also using the same tabloids to influence the narrative of the subject. So looking at the king's message today, one, I think the video assist